Warning, spoilers ahead. Today, I'm going to recap a Korean crime drama movie released in 2019, called TAZZA, One-Eyed Jack. A young poker player is on a winning streak and joins a team led by the legendary poker player. While successfully working on a plan to win a huge jackpot, a single mistake puts the entire team in a life-or-death situation. Will they be able to hit the jackpot? Let's find out together. The movie starts with Il-Chool, a young failing student who is addicted to gambling. Even though he rarely studies and fails his grades, Chool possesses great talent in gambling. He is even sometimes called TAZZA, which means professional gambler. One night, his mother comes to visit him in his apartment. The mother seems concerned with Chool's study and asks him to focus on his exam, to which he hesitantly agrees. The next day, even though he tries to focus, he couldn't help but sleep through the class and only think about gambling. One day, after gambling, Chool meets a pretty girl called Madonna, who seems to be down on her luck. Over their conversation, Madonna warns Chool to stop gambling and instead focus on studying, as she feels that Chool has no talent for gambling. In response, Chool brags about his gambling talent and says that Madonna is too underestimating him. Suddenly, Madonna left the dinner after seeing a car pass outside. Chool tries to follow her and sees a man grab her arm and forcefully pull her to his car and leave. Chool's meeting with Madonna seems to leave an impression, as he keeps on thinking and expecting to see Madonna again. The next day, when Chool is on his way home from gambling, he accidentally falls from his bicycle as he almost gets hit by a car. Inside that car, Chool sees Madonna looking at him. As the driver gets out and scolds Chool, it turns out he is one of the legendary TAZZA, known as Jjakgwi the demon. Then, as Jjakgwi and Chool argue, Madonna gets out of the car and leaves them. After that, Jjakgwi continues taunting Chool and underestimating him. Triggered by Jjakgwi's mockeries and acts, Chool goes after him. Then, he challenges Jjakgwi to a one-on-one poker game. Jjakgwi bets $10,000 for the damage on his car, while Chool also bet the same amount for his broken wheel. Moreover, Chool raises the stake by betting that he will take Madonna on a date if he wins. Jjakgwi accepts the deal, and then they start gambling with Madonna as the dealer. As the match goes on, Chool confidently bet all his chips, thinking that the game is in his favor. However, it turns out he is losing the game. After that, he recklessly takes out a loan to re-challenge Jjakgwi. However, the rematch goes on with Chool losing over and over again. Madonna tries to stop Chool, but he insists on keeping playing. But then, the game ends with Chool completely losing everything. Days later, Chool is repeatedly hit by debt collectors because he can't pay for his debt. When the debt collectors threaten to cut Chool's fingers, a mysterious long-haired man suddenly shows up. The man then says that he will pay for all of Chool's debt and introduce himself as one of the legendary TAZZA known as One-Eyed Jack. Now indebted to One Eye, Chool promises to pay him back. Jack then tells Chool about his late friend, one of the legendary TAZZA known as One Ear, who is Chool's father. Over the conversation, Jack tells him that he too was indebted to Chool's father, so Chool doesn't have to pay him back. As Chool is about to leave, Jack warns him that his match with Jjakgwi might be a trap set up by people he knows. Later that night, Chool goes back to his gambling place only to find that the site was already deserted, proving Jack's warning. Day after, Chool returns to see Jack and asks him to be his gambling mentor. However, Jack tells Chool to quit gambling before losing everything like the other gamblers. But Chool insists that he has talent and luck like his father. Jack, who previously refused Chool's request, then tells him to prove it. Afterwards, Chool proves his word by winning a game of roulette, which then makes Jack smile. Seeing Chool's potential, Jack decides to invite him to his one-eyed crew as he plans to trick a successful businessman using poker games. Then, Jack proceeded to recruit each team member by hinting them with a Jack card. The next day, the team assembles at Jack's hideout. There, Chool meets with a con man and card dealer named Kachi, an experienced gambling trickster named Kwon, and a pretty thief and professional deceiver called Jung-Min. From then on, Jack and his team execute their plan to trick a man called Mool, a businessman who recently became a big shot. At first, Kachi and Jung-Min will try to lure Mool with a game of poker. After they defeat Mool and mock his inability to gamble, Kwon and Chool enter the stage as TAZZA employed by Mool to defeat Kachi and Jung-Min. Then, they purposely make Mool win the game with the help of Chool and Kwon, luring Mool deeper. The next part of the plan is to get Mool to gamble with more money. Kachi asks Mool to another poker game betting $5 million, to which Mool confidently agrees. As the game begins, the team tricks Mool into a trap by switching the cards, making him recklessly bet all his chips. Then, Karchi and Jung-Min manage to defeat Mool and take all the money without making him suspicious. Even after losing, Mool wants to continue playing and asks Chool and Kwon to stay by his side. A while after, a car pulls up, and then a girl who turns out to be Madonna gets out of the vehicle. Meeting Madonna once again, Chool can't stop staring at her. Chool then asks Mool about his relationship with Madonna, and he answers that she's his business partner that he intends to trick. After that, Chool goes to Madonna's room to tell her to stop partnering with Mool, as he and his team intended to swindle Mool's money. As Chool was swayed by Madonna's beauty, she then lured Chool to tell her more about the plan. However, after Chool accidentally tells Madonna about his team plan, she betrays Chool by telling Mool. When Chool wakes up, Mool and his men are already in Madonna's room, taking Chool hostage. In anger, Mool goes on a hunt for One-Eyed Team. His men then brutally hit Chool and successfully capture Karchi while Kwon and Jung-Min escape. When Chool is taken away by Mool, Jack shows up and saves him. The next day, Chool wakes up in a room with his remaining teammates. He asked for forgiveness because he unintentionally betrays the team by telling Madonna. Jack then tells a story about Chool's father and explains that he was the one who betrayed One Ear, which led to his death in the hand of Jjakgwi the demon. He ends the story by saying that the traitor is unforgivable and tells Chool to live with traitor regret just like him. Chool then leaves the team, while Jack returns to Mool's place to save Karchi. Months later, Chool is still gambling somewhere. Suddenly, Karchi shows up, then tells him that Jack is dead and Jjakgwi is the one who killed him when Jack goes back to save Karchi. Wanting to redeem his mistake and to take revenge for both Jack and his father, Chool returned to Mool's place to confront him and Jjakgwi, challenging them to a poker game. When Chool meets Jjakgwi, he raises the stake by betting his life in this game, stating that whoever loses will be dead. Jjakgwi happily accepts the challenge as he has easily defeated Jack and Chool before. At night before the match, Madonna goes to Chool's room and asks him to help her steal the money and leave. At first, Chool hesitantly agrees to Madonna's plan as she has betrayed him twice. However, Madonna says that Chool would not win the game because she, Mool, and Jjakgwi are on the same side. She then says that she doesn't want Jjakgwi to win the game because he used to mistreat her since she was a child. Chool asks Madonna how could he believe her, and she answers that if he could not believe her, then he should believe the money that she plans to steal. But then, as he invites Madonna to his room, turns out that Chool has allied himself with Mool, exposing Madonna's plan to betray Mool and Jjakgwi. With no choice, Madonna then submitted to Chool and Mool's plan to defeat Jjakgwi and took the money for themselves. The next day, the game goes on with their leg tied to a chain. The stake of this game is that whoever loses will be drowned using a chain connected to a barrel. Amidst the match, Chool asks Jjakgwi why he killed his father. Jjakgwi then answers that One Ear used to steal from him and managed to hide the money. He then tells Chool that trapping him into massive debt in their game before is his plan to take revenge on Chool's father. As Chool and Jjakgwi argue, Madonna stealthily switches the card on the table in Chool's favor while Mool casually distracts Jjakgwi's attention. Then, Chool provokes Jjakgwi by betting all of his chips, leading Jjakgwi to do the same while Madonna and Mool purposely avoid. When the cards unfold, Jjakgwi laughs as he thinks he has defeated Chool again. However, the card Madonna previously switched ended up making Chool win instead. After losing the gamble, the chain on Jjakgwi's leg was pulled by a barrel, but he managed to grab the pool's edge. Madonna releases the chain on her leg and stops Jjakgwi from holding the pool's edge, drowning him. As she drowns him, she remembers her painful past with Jjakgwi. After that, she leaves the island as everyone looks at her in shock. After defeating Jjakgwi and taking both his and Madonna's money, Mool and one of his men drives Chool home. However, the car suddenly goes to a secluded place in the middle of the road. Mool then tells Chool to go away and leave his money if he wants to live, betraying their deal. But suddenly, Mool's driver pulls out a knife and betrays Mool. Turn out, the driver and Chool had made a deal to split the money for themselves, then they dispose Mool's body to the nearby lake. They both then part ways with the money. Days later, Chool sent a bag of money and a Jack card to all his former teammates to redeem his mistake. As he returns to his mother's home, he tells her mother that he passed the exam, making his mother happy. The mother then tells him a story about Chool's father and says that his father told her to give the money he saved before his death to their son. Chool then realizes that those money are the one his father stole from Jjakgwi. The movie ends with Chool, who's now living an ordinary life, working as a civil service servant. He tries his best to quit the gambling world before losing everything, just like Jack once told him to. The world of gambling is full of deception, trickery, and regret. People addicted to it will lose everything as their own greed swallows them. What would you do if you were in Chool's position? Let us know what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you for watching, and as always, see you next time.